Da, 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 da.
Hello and welcome to The Rabbit Hole with me, Graham Hughes, and Rachel Harris. How you doing, Rachel? You all right?
Oh, good. I was really ill for the last couple of days. Some horrible stomach buggy food poisoning thing.
Ugh.
And it's a good way of losing weight.
Yes.
But now,
Anemic dysentery. It's always a good way to lose weight.
yeah, that is. Actually, I had listeria once, was in bed for 5 days, lost a stone.
Ugh.
Listeria is the way to go with weight loss.
Do you take
Uh,
Listerine for listeria?
I, it probably helps.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. Distract you anyway, won't it? I mean, it's agonizing. It is agonizing. But yeah, it was. I don't know why. I started feeling well on Saturday. Then I've been through it, and now I'm feeling. This is probably the first day I felt good.
Yes. Oh well,
So,
that's good. That's good timing for us.
yeah.
You got a terrifying bunny rabbit behind you.
Down the rabbit hole.
Oh,
That's
that
what
rabbit
lays
hole.
down the rabbit hole.
Have you,
You
the politics social WhatsApp chat?
Yeah.
So the chat has just descended into Aid Thompson. Like it was supposed to be like a serious politics chat that we have on WhatsApp, and Rachel, it has just descended. Like the dirt in that man's mind is just off the charts. You thought him going on about his dad's balls was
Dad's
bad.
balls.
No,
Yeah.
this is another level.
There's another level below his dad's balls.
Yes.
Wow.
Just behind. Anyway, moving on. We've got Dave W in the chat. We've got Dagsby. We've got Saz. We've got Pete's Music. We've got Talk Madia. Thank you very much to Talk Madia, who has just put £2 in the super chat. And thank you very much. And has ruined my joke, because I was going to say, which is the best? And then you were going to go to Babylon 5. So, here we go.
Right.
Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, or Starman.
So Starman being the film,
Yes.
Jeff Bridges film.
Yes.
Oh,
Or it
God.
could be David Bowie. I don't know.
Oh, I like the David Bowie one, The Man Who Fell to Earth. Oh, I fell to Earth. You know, I like that. So we could do that instead, because I've seen that more recently than I've seen Starman.
Space.
Oh, tell us what the time is.
Who was the female lead in Starman?
In Starman?
Yeah.
Wasn't it the woman that was in Aliens? Alien?
Nope. That was Sigourney Weaver.
Oh God, yeah. Such a long time ago since I can
Karen
tell you the
Allen.
music.
It was Karen Allen from Indiana Jones.
That's it. It
from Raiders
is.
of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, that's right. Jeez, I haven't seen Starman for so that was a 70s, 80s
No,
film?
80s, 80s.
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
84.
I know that I can tell you the music, but in my head I got the melody, but I can't remember the.
There's a
Yeah.
Starman. Anyway,
It's not that.
Margot Kidder says Talk Madia. Oh, was it? Oh, I always get them mixed up. No, Margot Kidder was in Superman, wasn't she? She played Lois Lane.
Oh, the original.
Yeah, but you could always get her and Karen Allen mixed up because they did look very similar.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Talk Madia might be right
It's
there.
Kathleen Turner and Kelly McGillis. I always used to get them around in the early days.
So I was saying Doctor Who, Russell T Davies is amazing, and I love David Tennant.
Yes. Good ally, good bloke.
Yeah.
Good all rounder, good
He's
story.
a good fella.
What's not to like? I've got a Doctor Who plot script as well that I tried to pitch to him once.
Oh, really? So have I. I've never tried to pitch it, though.
Oh, well, I emailed it to him. And then,
Wow.
do you know what happened? I wrote to Russell T Davies at the BBC and said, this is my idea for a Doctor Who plot. Sent it all in. And I wrote back, and this very nice person called Russell Davis wrote back and went, I read your script with great interest, and I really found it really interesting, but I'm not Russell T Davis in the Doctor Who. I'm just Russell Davis.
You just sent to a random person.
Yeah, a random Russell Davis at the BBC.
Fantastic.
He was very kind.
Yeah, my Doctor Who story was they landed on a planet, and since 1945, an alien had been stealing humans from Earth, kidnapping them, and making them live on another planet.
There's a Voyager plot.
It's called
Amy
the
Johnson.
Brain Drain.
Oh.
And he's been taking the brightest and the best, and by doing that, it's why all buildings look shit these days. Modern art is bollocks, and everyone's a dickhead.
Yeah.
Basically, he's ruined Earth by taking all the clever people away.
Oh well, that's better because Voyager had the one where they took Amy Johnson and a couple of to another planet and yeah. I do like those kind of, you know. I'm not saying that it's derivative, Graham.
No, but he was doing it for a good reason, because after 1945, obviously humans had the power to destroy their own planet. And he
Okay.
the alien didn't want that to happen
Yeah.
to humans. So
Yeah.
it was taking humans away. But by taking the humans away, accelerated the death of our planet.
Nice plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also
My
aliens which
plot.
are made of sound.
Okay. No, I like it. My
Not
plot
baddies,
was the
goodies.
Doctor going for
Misunderstood.
no. I liked it. It's all right. It's good. It's all right. I'm no. There's not a sympathy light there. It's good. Mine was and it wasn't. It was only an idea, so it was only a short sketch. But the idea was the you know the TARDIS. He's in the TARDIS. He's on his own. He hasn't got his assistant. He's a bit lonely, and suddenly he goes through some sort of storm in the time vortex.
I think you're going to say suddenly he goes on to Pornhub.
yeah. Trans people. What are these Republicans doing on here? No, and he gets thrown out of the vortex to a place where suddenly the TARDIS just kind of re-images into a room, a place where there's loads of other TARDIS. And what it's done is it's gone back to a sort of maintenance hub where they all used to go. Yeah. And all the TARDISes from all the dead Time Lords are there in this sort of Time Lords kind of maintenance hut. And he's there and he's walking around all the empty
department, like the garage.
Yeah.
They all meet up in the garage.
Because they're all dead, right? But all their TARDISes are all in this black maintenance. And he's walking around and he's having bad memories. And you know, and the only person that he does meet there is the Master.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
That's no good.
It's the only other Time Lord that exists, right? So,
maybe.
So it's like,
and the Doctor's daughter. And the Veil Yard.
Yeah.
This is a future version of Doctor Who we haven't met yet. Yeah. And the War Doctor.
Yeah.
He was actually dead in real life, so I don't know if they can bring him back.
But the idea is, but it's just sad that it's all that familiarity to him, all the TARDISes that he knows, and the familiarity, the place he's at, and the only person, and he's having this emotional, he's lost Gallifrey, he's seeing everything, his reminders, and the only person there he can share that with is the Master. And it's like, that was the idea. But anyway,
very interesting. I like it. Okay, we've got a lot of people saying that Stargate is superior in the chat.
Stargate is excellent.
There's some love coming in for Babylon 5, as I said, but also for Battlestar Galactica as well.
Oh, we love Battlestar
Alan
Galactica.
is saying that Babylon 5 had to finish the story in a hurry because they didn't initially get the go-ahead for season 5, but later on they did. It's one of the reasons why, like, up till season 4, episode 6, I thought it was just the best thing ever of all time ever. But then they had to wrap it up immediately because, I think Michael Straczynski, he wanted to do a Lord of the Rings thing where he wanted to address the aftermath of the big battle. And I assume when they were plotting it out, it was all going to culminate at the end of season 4.
Yeah.
And they'll have the big battle between the Vorlons and the Shadows, and us lesser races were going to be the children getting stomped on while these giants fight in the playground. Yeah. And I thought the whole series was going to be all, this all the different battles going on, and then it's the last bit of hope, and then and it would all culminate, and then season 5 would be with the big finale, and then season 5 would be the cleanup, right? It didn't go down like that. So it got to about season 4, episode 6, which was called The Long Night, which was the name of the shit episode at the end of Game of Thrones. Same name, The Long Night. And it was like the night before. I think it was episode 5. And it was the night before the big thing that went down. And then they would, the big battle, I think, was episode 6. Yeah. And it was called Into the Darkness or something like that. Someone's going to correct me in the chat. I'll look it up on Google. But it just featured, it was supposed to be this big battle. That was supposed to be the end of everything, end of life on in the universe as we knew it. But it was over so quick. Yeah. A bit like Game of Thrones, really. It was just hurried at the end. They went, let's just finish it.
It's so sad when sci-fi series, they're going to cancel it, and it just ends, like we talked about Space Above and Beyond, which just ended on a awfully sad.
Alf? Alf? Do you remember Alf?
Yeah.
In the 1980s. Do you remember how that ended? He got taken away by the government, and they were going to dissect him.
Oh no.
And they never made another season, so no one knows what happened to Alf. He just got taken away by the government.
Oh, Alf is so cute.
They were giving it up for the next season when he was going to get rescued from the government and all this kind of stuff, but they never made it. So
no. Well,
Quantum Leap just got axed, and they just finished it.
No, but they didn't. No, because wasn't it in the last episode I saw of Quantum Leap, he was like, he kind of got to the point where he didn't have to jump anymore, but he had to jump, and the guy with the pads, when you jump this
Al.
time, and it was going to jump to heaven, right? And he was going to jump to somewhere where he was never going to come back, but he had to make the didn't I
No,
did I
they,
dream that?
they had an episode, and I think it was actually filmed earlier to have a
Yeah,
sort of like a sign-off episode, but it
yeah,
wasn't really what it was. It was like the Al redemption arc, because
right,
Sam went back to the day he was born. He was in
yeah,
a coal mining town somewhere in fucking Pittsburgh or somewhere, I don't know.
yeah,
And he was meeting loads of people who he had met earlier in the jumps, but they
yeah,
were different people played by the same actors. So, like, the guy behind the bar was one of the technicians on the plane in the very first episode.
yeah,
And Al couldn't find him because he was looking all up through his timeline. He didn't think to look on the day he was born. And in the end, he's talking to God or whoever it is, the
yeah,
barman, and he says the leaps are going to get harder. And he's like,
yeah,
okay. And he realizes that it's not been fate or anything that's been leaping him around. It's been Sam. Sam's been
yeah,
leaping himself around to fix things because he just
yeah,
wants to help because he's a nice guy.
yeah,
And so his last leap is to go back to Al's first wife and tell her that Al is alive in Vietnam. Because the running joke was Al couldn't remember he's had 7 wives and he couldn't remember the names.
yeah,
And Sam leaped back to an earlier leap when he met Al's first wife, but because it wasn't the mission, he couldn't tell her that Al was alive and being
yeah,
held in Vietnam as a prisoner of war. He gets out a few years later. His wife has remarried someone else,
mm, yeah.
and he never gets his love of his life back, and that's why he's a sexual philanderer that we all know and love, of Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
And so he fixes
Who's in
that.
Battlestar Galactica? Yeah.
Yeah, he fixes that, and then it's a black title card, and it just says Sam Beckett never returned home, and they spelt his fucking name wrong. They spelt his name on like the ultimate indignity.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, that talking of Sam, because then Sam goes on, he obviously ends up being Captain Archer of the
Yes, he
Enterprise
does.
series.
Who was originally
Because
called Jeffrey Archer, and they had to change the bloody name because someone in
God for
Britain went, that's the name of a disgraced Tory MP, and they went, okay,
Yeah.
so they changed it to Jonathan.
And God for that. No, I mean, so Captain Archer, I really liked Enterprise just for a different reason to everybody else. And one, because it was in 16:9, first Star Trek to be in HD 16:9, and all the other stuff was all 4:3. So that was, but also, and I really enjoyed it because it was that sort of all-American homeboy captain. They're sort of finding all the early Star Trek technologies appearing, like the teleporter and force fields and first phase. And I really liked it, especially the last series 5, which was quite dark when they were, no, series 4, when they're now going out to find the guys that attack the Earth. So that's all pretty dark, and it's a bit more. But they had to finish that really quickly. I mean, it's almost like, and they had to bring Riker back because it was so shit the last episode. They had to bring Riker back.
Oh, wow.
And have Riker in the last episode trying to work through a problem which connects to another Next Generation episode where he has to tell Captain Picard some bad information about being on a ship that had an illegal invisibility cloaking shield. So he's trying to work out how he tells
paint the spaceship black. That's all you need to do. Just paint it black. The thing about space is it's black, and the thing about black holes is they're black. Paint your spaceship matte black.
Yeah, but if you're in front of a star, it's a bit of a bummer.
Matt Blanc, wasn't he in Friends? Sorry, Matt Black.
Matt Black. Matt LeBlanc.
Paint it with Matt LeBlanc.
Matt LeBlanc. Yeah, what are you doing?
Which ironically means white. But yeah, going back to Babylon 5, they had this episode, and it basically was, I think it was the 6th episode, so it's like a 22 episodes run. It was like the 6th episode, and they finished the war, and the war ended in such a fucking piss weak way. I think it set me up for to prep me for the end of Game of Thrones several decades later, and just go, oh, okay, yeah, that's just how things end, I guess. Because after all this existential threat to everyone in the universe, all the living people of the universe, Sheridan just goes to gets to speak to the Vorlons and to the Shadows somehow, and he says, "Go away, go to your own universe. This is our universe now. We don't need you anymore." And they look at each other and go, "Okay, then that man talks sense," and they disappear into a puff of logic.
Yeah, there you go. Just imagine if they sent Trump in there to do that.
I'm a great negotiator. Yeah.
And you get nothing.
Yes.
And
he'll side with the shadows, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would. He would. Oh, yeah.
But then
he'd be on the. Yeah, it's like that favorite. Sorry,
I was just going to say that then the rest of the season was just them clearing up the mess, and then they had another season. I mean, it was called Babylon 5 for a reason. He had a 5-series arc, and he wanted to tell the whole story, and it could have been
But they did that in Enterprise as well. After season 4 was the big finale of beating the aliens that had attacked Earth, and then made friends with the aliens that attacked Earth because they'd been led. Series 5 was all a bit different episodes. They went after the sort of enhanced humans with Spencer playing Sung, and they kind of jumped around lots of little storylines.
Was it as bad as Picard season 1 and 2 though?
No, I think anything as bad as that.
Do you know what? I watched them, and do you know what my first thought was? Bring back Jar Jar. That's how bad it was.
No, sir, Misa. Steady.
I was like, do you know the only thing that could possibly improve these terrible shows is to bring back Jar Jar. But then, if you've not watched Picard season 1 or 2, I envy you. They're fucking awful.
Just go straight to 3.
Just go straight to 3.
Yeah.
Listen to Rachel. Rachel knows.
Yeah.
Rachel knows.
Go straight to 3. You could just about get away with it. It's fine. You may not know you'll get the characterizations pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What I would do. But hey, it's nice to see 7 of 9. That's always good. We like that.
She just turns up. Yeah. It says, "Hey, remember me?" I like it when you're watching something that's like an old school show, right? And you're not really au fait with the old school stuff, like a reboot or a remake or whatever. Yeah. And then a character from the original turns up, and the camera the camera zooms into their face, and they just look at the camera like that guy on the meme, and you're like, who the fuck is that?
Apollo from the 1970s Battlestar Galactica played. The Union guy, and he was a criminal and Union guy in the new Battlestar.
In the new Battlestar,
right? He did. He ends up going out of an airlock because he tries to take over the Galactica, right? So him and the first officer get put out.
The one with one leg.
Second officer the guy at
that moment where he says, "My legs stop itching now."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't watch Andor, did you? We discussed this last week.
I did. I watched the first series of Andor.
You did? You watched it? Yeah. Okay, so the next series I thought was coming in March. It's coming in April.
Yeah, and I just cancelled my Disney over the whole getting rid of the trans character. Now I've got to find Andor somewhere else.
I can find it for you. Don't you worry.
Thank you.
I've got Disney Plus. I'll sort out that shit. But yeah, that line when they have the prison escape, and cover your ears if you haven't seen it. Where he says, "I can't swim." Honestly, that is one of the most devastating bits of sci-fi I've ever seen. And it didn't need to be sci-fi. It could have been anything. It could have been just like a regular show where people are trapped on an island on a prison, and they finally make this audacious prison escape. And it's just well, good luck, everyone.
It's a line they use a lot. I was watching Few Good Men a few months ago, and it was like, "Oh no, we've got to go on a boat. You're in the goddamn Navy, Kathy." It's like just jokes about I can't swim, and it's like, "Well, I never had to swim. Nobody said there'd be boats
in the Navy.
You're a jag in the Navy for goddamn it."
Yeah. Getting a lot of love for Red Dwarf in there.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I was a big fan of Red Dwarf.
That's mine.
Yeah.
That's my favorite bit of that.
I actually have the original Red Dwarf book, Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers, and Better Than Life, signed by Rob Grant and Doug Naylor.
Oh.
To Graham as well. It doesn't say to eBay. too anonymous. Yeah.
I like Dwayne Dibley as well. That's Dwayne Dibley? I'm Dwayne Dibley.
Well, there's a Comic Con in Liverpool this May. I think it's coming May or June.
Yeah,
and it's £100 to get a signature of someone. £100. Like I remember meeting like Dave Prowse, who played Darth Vader. He played the guy.
Did you cross the road?
I did. Well, it was on Bowl Street, so I didn't have to cross the road. It was on Forbidden Planet.
I'll always be there when you cross the road.
But it was just they just did stuff like that. Now it's like, right, £100, please. And you're like, bloody hell.
Phew. That is, that is pretty. I suppose, and I'm a bit OCD. So if I was at a convention, I'd want to get all 7 main characters in the next generation.
That'll be
I'd
700
rather get
quid
them
then.
all. That's 700 quid there.
And it's another 100 quid that you got a photo with them.
Oh, that's just not right.
I know.
Where's the world coming to? I don't like that. That's a bit.
Alan in the chat saying you can have my signature for £5. Oh, thanks, Alan.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Yeah, we like that.
Electro Gaming Series D wasn't great, but in fairness, it was the series that wasn't meant to happen. Series D, I assume that Electra is talking about QI. What show did the seasons based on letters rather than numbers? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I'm not. If it's bleeding obvious, I won't notice it. I can't. I can sit in my desk and it's on fire and I won't notice. That's not how I roll.
I've converted. Okay, so you might shout at me for this, but I think that it's more sensible to call one season of a TV show a season rather than a series, and call the whole thing a series. Well, rather than the UK thing, which is every.
It's because you get breaks as well, isn't it? Right. So Battlestar Galactica for season 4 broke into 2 seasons into one series. That's how I looked at it. There were 2. So I bought all the discs on Blu-ray because I loved it so much. And season 1, 2, 3, whole box. Then season 4, 2 box sets because they just we're not going to call it. We're not going to call it. So it was series and seasons, and I thought, oh, okay, I can go with that. Yeah.
Well, I think Doctor Who, when you go on the BBC website, BBC iPlayer, I think that the first 39, however many it is, a series. They have it down as a series, and then when it restarted in 2005, it's down as a season.
William Hartnell. Let's that Mr. Hitler's a jolly bad bloke. Let's go to Berlin. How old is that episode?
Give him what for? David Peacock says, I enjoy Picard and hope the spin-off with 7 of 9 as Captain Event happens eventually.
I'm looking forward to that. And Strange New Worlds is coming on soon. I'm looking forward to that too.
Sarah's saying, I'm glad I got Graham's signed book for free. I'm glad you didn't charge me for taking it off my hands. Duke says, no one will get that reference unless they played Red Alert. Is that going to destroy fascism in space? This is my little Tim Curry impression there. Joanna, dissenting voice, Blake 7 was bloody awful. Preferred Sapphire and Steel?
Sapphire and Steel. I remember that. Yeah. I liked David McCallum is an alien, right? Because you look at David, so just as a side of Sapphire, David McCallum was in the 1958, or I think it was 1958, The Longest Night, playing a radio officer. Then he's Man from U.N.C.L.E. in the 60s, Sapphire and Steel in the 70s. Then he's the Invisible Man. And he looks he looked the same right up to almost. Then he's in loads of 80s kind of Agatha Christie's playing random characters. And he looked the same right through. He didn't really age at all. It's like, whoa, spooky.
Have you got any shows that like nobody watched that you absolutely loved? I've got one called Carnivale. Yeah. Did anyone see Carnivale except for me? It had the guy who played the backwards talking dwarf in Twin Peaks in it. He's actually a really good actor, but I think he's turned into a massive like sexist trumper in his old age, and that's why he wasn't in Twin Peaks to Return. And it also had Clancy Brown in it. You know
I know his name.
Yeah, the Kurgan. It had the Kurgan from the Kurgan from the Shawshank Redemption. It had him in as well. Yeah. And it was set in 1930s in the Dust Bowl in America, and it was a traveling carnival, and it was to do with the second coming of Christ and the devil and magic. It was like it was advertised as the last age of magic. And I was living in Australia at the time, and it was shown on, I think, ABC in America. It was just never shown in the UK. I don't know if it was ever on Channel 4 or something. It would have been like late at night. Or maybe they did the thing that they did with the bloody Sopranos, where they'll never put it on the same time each week. Yeah. It's why I always try to keep to the same times each week for all my shows, because it just annoys the crap out of me when you're expecting the Sopranos to be on at like 10 o'clock, and then suddenly, we'll move that around, move it around. Whatever. But
and he's also Never heard of that. I'll look it up. That Clancy Brown was also in Starship Troopers. But
Yes, was
anyway,
he?
yeah,
Who was he
he
in
was the
Starship Troopers?
sergeant that stood on the top of the insect at the end of the gun, going, yeah, at the big end of the big
Oh,
battle. So yeah, it's been in loads of stuff
that was great.
actually,
He's a
and he's
fantastic actor.
also in Dexter, the new Dexter.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Is it
Yeah.
is it any good?
Uh,
This is when he's
well, yeah.
the
I've watched
prequel,
four
isn't it?
episodes. His son's rocked up in this, and his son's got the bug. Wink.
Mm.
So
But no, this is set when he's in school, isn't it?
no, it's set because Dexter ended. Stick your fingers in your ears, everybody. Sort of in that Canadian lumber camp, and he's a bit
Yes.
lonely, bit lonely. Well, he's now he's sorted his life out now. He's living in an American town. He's going out with the sheriff, who's a woman, and got friends, and there's
Is she as good
personalities.
as Deborah though? Because she was the only reason that I
Well,
liked.
Deborah is in it. His sister that
Well,
died is
she
in it.
appear as a ghost.
She appears as a ghost and sort
That
of
must have
says,
been really weird because they were married. They played brother and sister. Then the actors got married, and then they got divorced.
I didn't know they were married. That's interesting.
Yeah, they were married.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is funny because I always thought he was gay because he played a gay character in 6 Feet Under.
Oh yeah, God, I forgot about that. Yeah. It's good. It's okay. I've watched 4 episodes. It's entertaining. He starts getting a taste for it again, and blah blah blah. But that's all as far as I'll go. I don't want to ruin it for people, but it's worth a watch. I think I'm 4 episodes in. It's all right.
We're seeing who else. You can let us know in the chat if there's a TV show that's like that you love.
So
That's like super
here's some
obscure.
stuff I used to watch.
Brimstone.
It's the stuff I used to watch when I was younger that you would never heard of. Banachek, George Peppard, The Baron, The Champions.
I remember the Champions.
Yeah, Champions.
Hang on, were the Champions the ones who crash landed in the Himalayas?
Yeah, and they all had superpowers.
And they all had
Bridget
superpowers.
Bastido, Craig Sterling. Yeah. Dun, da,
How
da,
did
da, da,
did
da,
they
da.
find Shangri-La or something, and then some yogi on top of the
some
hill
Tibetan,
gave them magic
yeah,
powers?
they got powers. One she could hear. One had
Yeah.
sort of,
Classic.
they ended up working for the UN as a sort of, so that was really good. Obviously, Space 1999 was a bit later. So there was the Baron. What else? There was the Banachek. Cannon. Harrio, Petrocelli.
Oh, I remember Petrocelli.
He was the lawyer that investigated, but lived in a caravan in the desert.
Yeah.
Frank Cannon was, and then there was Harrio, which was really good. What these 70s series my dad used to watch. I sit watching with him. So I got into all those, but those 1960s low grade stuff, like The Prisoner and all that stuff. I loved all that stuff as a kid. I was sat in front of it. That was bringing up children in the 70s. Sit in front of this. What's it called? The Prisoner. All right then. And that. Yeah,
Joanna is mentioning Tomorrow People, which I do remember. But also tripods. Now I remember tripods.
Oh, I had a friend who was in tripods.
Oh, really?
Only as an extra.
This was a terrifying sci-fi show that they had on the Doctor Who slot on Saturday nights in the 80s, and it was a continuation, I think, kind of War of the Worlds. So imagine the aliens had come back with bubble helmets, so the viruses didn't affect them, and they went round the planet in these massive tripods, and these mechanical grasping hands would come down out the tripod and grab you by the head and pull you into the tripod.
They put something in your brain to slow you down.
They put some metal in your brain, and that messed you up and stuff. And I think, and I would have to Google this before saying this because otherwise I'm probably going to muck it up, but I do believe there were 2 seasons, and there should have been a 3rd season, but it was never made. So the 2nd season ended with them finally getting to the place in, I don't know, fucking Switzerland or somewhere, where there was supposed to be no tripods, and the humans could finally live in freedom. And then they look over the ledge, they look over from the top of the cliff or whatever, and they look down, and they can see the town. And it's full of tripods, and then it just ended. And it's like, oh, that's a bit of a downer, isn't it? Yeah. And then they axed it, so no one knows. It was actually a trilogy of books, I think, or based on
that's right.
French book.
Yeah.
So you could read the books and find out what happened next, but in the TV show, no, that was it. There's no hope.
A rando thing for you. The person that my mum used to be an antique dealer, and the person that had
A drug dealer. Sorry, what did you say?
antiques.
A drug
Antiques.
dealer. Your mum was a drug dealer. That's
No,
naughty.
not really. No, antiques. She did like a tipple, but
Same
no.
thing, really.
She and the author of those books had I think they had an antique. They're like a corner of the shop for their antique. They were a dealer.
Right.
My mum seemed to know them through that way.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Brilliant. That's pretty cool.
I think they lived in Rye because that's where Mum's shop was. But yeah, I think it's a long time ago.
Well, I was terrified of the tripods. I loved it.
Yeah, they were terrifying.
I loved it, but a terrifying series.
But the creatures had 3 legs as well. Because I remember,
yeah, they based the machinery on the creatures
on their features.
Yeah, and then one of the humans ended up working for one of the head tripod aliens.
That's right.
He killed them at the end of season 2 by. There were all these balls, weren't there? And he destroyed all the balls.
But one of the the children characters was being educated by one of the tripods, and it was like this friendship, which was a bit weird.
Yeah,
because it's like. But going back to Blake 7, because I have to take issue here.
Okay.
Because that was another.
Oh, there's fights breaking out in the chat here. This is supposed to be the chill out zone.
I joined BritBox and I burnt through them all recently because when Star Trek finished in the 70s, end of the 70s, there was nothing, and then along came Blake 7, and it was the first sort of sci-fi before the first Star Wars film, right? And so it was. I mean, the sets were a bit wobbly, and they were all British RSC actors. I say, old chap, would you mind stealing the Liberator? Bloody
fuck!
And it was so they're all. And that's what made it work because they were such good actors. That's why Star Trek worked. The actors are so good that it makes sci-fi work if the actors are brilliant. And it was only 2 seasons again, Blake 7, and it ended prematurely in a really fucking shit way with them all queuing up to die.
Yes.
Next. You know, it's like, you betrayed me, Blake. You know, it's like, and Blake's sort of a semi-baddie, and it was like,
he was. No, he wasn't even in the second season for most of it. And
No,
then he came back in the last
episode.
episode to go, I've been working with the Empire all along.
You betrayed me.
Avon was one of the guys played by Paul
He's the best
Darrow.
character. Avon was brilliant.
Yeah. But we've got Rockford Files. People are saying Last Starfighter. George Peppard was also in Breakfast at Tiffany's. You know, we have to do a breakfast. So I was thinking about this. You know, when you were talking about things being 4x3, and then it went to 16x9, which is the boxes that we're in at the moment, because awesome. With AI, they could do that. You know, just stretch out to the edges, and it would be perfect.
Well, I do that.
I wouldn't know.
You remember the televisions of sort of the 90s? You could put 4x3 and go and stretch it, so everybody was fat.
Hated that. I hated
that. I know. You could force it to do it. And now the new tellies, they know it's 4x3. This is the signal I'm getting. I'm not going to do it. You can't fake me. I'm not going to stretch it. 4x3 or nothing. But the 90s tellies, you could go make it 12.6 by, and everyone would be short and fat. And I like that. That's just me.
What I think is going to be really cool in the next few years is things like the missing Doctor Who episodes. It's about 97 missing Doctor Who episodes. They'll be able to do them with AI.
Yeah.
And make them as they were.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, interesting. I mean, it'll be like 4x3 Star Trek. I think they'll get AI to fill in the edges.
Yeah, I think they're going to bump them all up to 4K.
Yeah.
One of the good things about sort of American TV until the 90s really was that a lot of the TV shows were filmed on film. So they were basically filmed on high definition before it existed. The sort of the topical shows, the news shows, Jerry Springer's and all that, they were all filmed on 480. Which is like the second to bottom, the second to lowest thing you can watch. I know it's 240, 360, and 480. So they were basically filmed on really crappy. Was it SVHS? Was it?
Well, I'm watching the original Star. I've got the original Star Treks all remastered, the original series.
Yeah,
and they're sharp as a 9-bob note, right? Because they went back to the film.
Yes.
And reworked those. I mean, it's a bit weird because they inserted lots of CGI for the Enterprise scenes. And you can when you watch the disc, you can watch it in the original bouncy on strings, or you can watch it in the CGI.
And this is the original series.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
On disc. So you can choose when the disc starts, which would you like? Would you like the original bouncy? I mean, they've cleaned that up as well, but you can tell it's a bit, a bit wobbly.
But it used to be done by hand. Like
that
whole process took so fucking long.
And that model is huge. It's not a little model. The model is ginormous.
With AI. I mean, the world. They're still getting there. It's not
Yeah.
perfect yet, but they will.
Yeah.
And it will mean that we can resurrect some of our favorite TV shows,
Brilliant.
and update them and make them look, I mean, you were complaining last week, weren't you, about the effects on Babylon 5, which were done on an Amiga toaster,
Was.
looking shite.
Yeah.
And they'll, run them through AI, so they make this look realistic.
Because on all the acting bits on Babylon 5 and on the ships and things are all great. It's just this, which is why they did it to Star Trek, the original series. They just jazzed it up a bit, and it does make it a lot nicer to watch. And I think that, I don't have any problem. I mean, if you want to watch the pure version, they should always make that available. But if you want to just watch a streamer version, a cleaner version, because your brain's working.
It does piss me off that you can't get hold of the original cut of Star Wars anymore. Then again, you never could. You never ever could get.
Not even on those ginormous laser discs.
You couldn't even get it on VHS because the original cut of Star Wars was just called Star Wars. It was not called Episode 4: A New Hope. That was added for the reissue a couple of years later, before Empire Strikes Back came out.
Yeah, I don't know how you had any time to go around the world.
What do you mean? Because I just watched all these shows. I watched a lot of shows while I was traveling around the world.
Oh, right, okay.
When I wasn't writing my blog or editing videos.
Graham, look, the pyramids, Graham. No, I'm watching. You're watching New Hope. I'm watching New Hope.
No, the thing is about Star Wars is, apart from Andor, I can't argue that it's science fiction, because it's just too daft. It's space wizards. They're using magic. It's just daft.
Oh, which do you think of space magic then? That's interesting. What's the space
anything
magic?
to do with the Force, anything to do with lightsabers, being able to deflect lasers with a fucking shield, with a sword.
Well,
that's what a shield's for, mate.
I don't know. I think you're a bit harsh. I think if you believe in karma and energy theory and vibration theory and connection and quantum mechanics,
I don't.
That's the Force, right?
Quantum mechanics. How can you throw a quantum mechanics in the end of a load of bloody woo? I'm not having that. If you believe in aligning your crystalline entity to, that's Star Trek.
No, quantum mechanics. You send out positive vibes, and the universe works in positive vibes. You can, it's like the law of attraction, which can be a bit hocus pocus, but you can bring things into your life, and I think the fact is that everything is connected, and karma is based on that. Vibration theory is energy theory. Quantum mechanics proves that we are connected, and all that. So somebody that's got some serious Zen going on. That's near the Force. It's not moving objects.
I'm far too cynical to go down this route.
You see, that's why it never shows itself to you. You see, Graham, because you don't.
Yeah, the universe is never manifested.
That is why you failed.
Shut up, Wesley.
I don't believe you did that.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I was thinking about this. We should
does not believe he doesn't.
we should have a clip on that we use. I have like words that come up when people say the same thing over and over again, like delivering when we're doing PMQs.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking we should have a clip of Captain Picard saying, "Shut up, Wesley!" And whenever Wes Streeting is talking, it just cuts in with Captain Picard going, "Shut up, Wesley!"
Very good, sir. Number one.
Shut up, Wesley.
My favorite line is when the Enterprise is just about to blow up on a self-destruct, and he goes Alpha Beta 0011. Captain, does the first officer concur? And Riker goes, yes, I absolutely concur. I absolutely do concur. A simple yes would have sufficed, number one, which is the best line. He's so cool. The Enterprise just about to blow up. Simple yes would have sufficed. Best line. I love that.
Alan Jackson's telling me the Force will never be with you.
Yeah, if they don't believe in the Force, it's never going to present itself.
What's this? Did Graham say Star Wars is daft? Well, no. I'm just saying it's not sci-fi. It's fantasy. And I have no problem with fantasy. I love fantasy. I love, I love, obviously, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, born in Bloemfontein in 1897, I think.
Bloemfontein.
In South Africa. I have no problem with magic wizards, and I think that anything is improved by setting it in space.
Yeah, everything is improved by setting it in space. That's why Aliens is so good, because
Alien is a haunted house film set in space.
But the thing is Alien set in a snow, in a
Well,
Arctic ice station.
The Thing is fantastic.
Oh,
That's
it
a
is the best thing.
remake. That's a
Kurt
remake.
Russell, brilliant in that.
Thing from another world. But yeah, I mean, I always think of the Jason series. So there were 9 terrible Friday the 13th films, and then the 10th, Jason X, when Jason Goes to Space, was absolutely brilliant. It was it's so good.
I think
mean,
I
it's
saw
terrible.
the first one on a video nasty when I was 15.
It's just so funny.
Thriller Killer, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and
Yeah,
when I was 15.
it was Corey
Didn't affect me.
Feldman. Corey Feldman was in everything in the 80s, and he's the person who actually killed Jason Voorhees. But then Jason was brought back to life because someone decided to stick a metal pole in his dead corpse, and then that metal pole got struck by lightning, which brought him back to life. Which
Doesn't
made
that
more
always
sense.
happen? Doesn't it?
Is it Friday the 13th Part 3 or 4? Dream Warriors. He's brought back to life by a dog pissing fire on his grave. That happened.
Which is the one with the
80s were a wild
happy
time.
smiley badges, where all the television networks are going to broadcast something and they're all going to become zombies, and then they manage to get to the networks and shut them all down except for one, and he's like, "Channel 13, you're still on, shut down." And they've got, I just have a
What's
flashback.
that?
I thought that was a Friday.
No.
I thought it was a Friday the 13th. It was a bit technical. Maybe I got that wrong. Maybe it was another horror series. Anyway.
No, because the Friday the 13th was just Jason going around stabbing people.
Oh,
Except
maybe
the first one, when it wasn't him, it was his mum. And the fifth one, when it wasn't him, it was a copycat killer.
Oh, right. Okay. It's just, I just remember I saw the first one, and then I saw Amityville Horror, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Gilla Killer, Rabid, all those video nasties that I used to lie about my age and go and get the video again from from Blockbusters at 15 years old, and we'd all go back, all my mates from school, we'd all watch those.
Yeah.
And then terrify ourselves to death. And now I can't watch horror films. Not at all.
I'm looking up an article that I wrote for the BFI ages ago about Star Wars, how Star Wars conquered the cinema with help from the Hidden Fortress. This is in response to not One Angry Pagan. It says Star Wars is daft. Piss off, One Angry Pagan. I'll give you daft.
Yeah, but I got a feeling with One Angry Pagan is a bit spiritual like me, right? Hence, the name, so the Force and some good vibes and ley lines and energy, and that's kind of, that's my kind of I'm open-minded to that.
I've been to 15 Glastonbury's. It's never touched the sides with me, all that stuff. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway, I'm just a perpetual cynic, but my heart's not in it. Wait, so who was saying that? Was it Joanna? Yeah, Star Wars is fantasy, just a rework of Save the Princess story with a new word for magic thrown in. So I've put in a link there to the BFI features. You can read that after the show, and that's all about how Star Wars completely ripped off a film called Hidden Fortress by Akira Kurosawa, and there's so many similarities in it. I mean, there's a princess. There's an old general from an old war who knows the baddie guy because they fought together in the war, and then now they're on different sides. And we see the story from the point of view of these two traveling fools who are R2D2 and C3PO. And George Lucas watched this and he went, "Let's do this movie, this Japanese samurai movie, but let's set it in space." Ta-da! Perfect.
The Magnificent Seven was built the cowboy film was based on a Japanese
Seven Samurai.
Yeah. So.
But the thing is, Akira Kurosawa was influenced by the cowboy films of John Ford to make the movies that he made, because he wanted to do westerns in the Far East. He wanted to do the same sort of idea, but instead of being gunslingers, they were samurai.
Yeah.
And he got influenced to make Seven Samurai and Yojimbo, and they got remade into cowboy movies.
Dun, 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 dun. Can you name? Oh, now I've got the movie buff. Can you name the 7 actors in the Magnificent Seven?
Oh God, no!
Yes, I'm gonna
Steve
get
McQueen.
Graham. This
Steve
is
McQueen?
it. Yeah, one.
That's it. Red buttons. I don't know. Go on. Then. Go on.
I've done it. I've broken Graham. The great pub quiz question. The seven.
Tommy Myfoon or Myfooni was in the original. He was in all the Kurosawa movies.
Well, yeah. So Robert Vaughn, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson. You've got Brad Dexter, Horst Brockle, Robert Vaughn. If I haven't said that, anyway, they are the It's a good
Was
pub quiz.
Bronson in the Dirty Dozen as well? He was in the Magnificent
Yeah.
Seven and the Dirty Dozen.
I think he was in the Dirty Dozen. He was also in The Great Escape. I like to dig.
He was in
I'm
the Great Escape
claustrophobic, but I dig.
with Steve McQueen.
With Steve McQueen.
Yeah,
Ba-dum.
Cooler King.
Ba-dum.
Cooler King,
Ba-dum.
who apparently got killed by asbestos poisoning from his because he liked to do motor racing, didn't he? And he had an asbestos.
Did you? I mean, I read his biography, and he went down to Mexico for some quack clinic where they injected coffee up your bum and stuff, and he had a miserable ending in the book anyway, because he was obviously trying to not die, and he ended up some quack thing, which was a bit sad. But the book's good. These autobiographies are really powerful.
Yeah.
But he was all he wanted to do was mess around with engines and bikes and cars, and he did films to pay for the cars and the engines.
Good films, like if you see a film and it's got Steve McQueen in, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a fucking classic. I mean, he was in Papillon, fucking amazing. He was in Towering Inferno with Paul Newman.
You keep our ladders only go up to the 8th floor, but you keep building them on up.
Oh mate, that bit at the end, like watching that after 9/11.
Yeah,
that's just terrifyingly prophetic.
Yeah.
So if
Fred
you haven't
Astaire
seen
was in it, and Richard Chamberlain.
Sorry.
Richard Chamberlain and Fred Astaire were in the Towering
Fred
Inferno.
Astaire, isn't it? Yeah, and Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway was in the Thomas Crown Affair.
Yes,
with Steve McQueen.
With Steve McQueen, the original, with Windmills of Your Mind.
Windmills of Your Mind. Sung by the son of Rex Harrison. Noel Harrison.
Noel
Harrison.
Noel Harrison.
Yes. Oh!
What a song! What a great song.
Yeah,
that's a trippy song.
I used to have singing lessons, believe it or not, and I had to learn. I'm terrible at lyrics, like I'm terrible at names, as you probably picked up. And my singing coach, his name was Craig Barber, who worked at RADA. He was lovely, and he would not let me, because I could make up words really quickly when I'm singing songs, and I will just fill a sentence with made up, like. And he would go, I'm not having it. It's a tear in your eye and a tear in your heart. It's not a tear in your eye and a tear in your heart. It's wrong. And he would really stop. And he made me learn the lyrics to Windmills of Your Mind, which actually doesn't have verses. It's just constant dialogue.
Yeah.
And oh my God, my brain is, I have Dory the goldfish, and learning a song, I could just rather make the words up in real time, which is what I normally do. And, to learn Windmills of Your Mind, it was so hard. I can just about do it now, but it's one of those ones that imprinted, like Bad Out of Hell. A couple of songs I did learn the lyrics for.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
But going back to Towering Inferno. So this is a really interesting story. Actually, it was 1974, and it was 2 movie studios that came together. It was 20th Century Fox, and I forgot which other studio came together to make it.
United Artists. Was it? That's how they formed that, was it?
No, that was ages ago. No, the United Artists was way back in the day. It was Warner Brothers. So this is, I think, was one of the only films ever that was distributed as 20th Century Fox and Warner Brothers. So they had the big star 20th Century Fox and the big star of Warner Brothers, who were Steve McQueen and Paul Newman. And there were 2 books. There was one called The Inferno, or The Tower, and the other one was called The Glass Inferno, or something like that. And they each had the rights to these books, and they were going to bring out a very similar movie in the same year, which Hollywood does all the freaking time. You think about The Book of Life and Coco, or you think about Volcano and Dante's Peak, or you think about Deep Impact and Armageddon. Same year. Oh, meteors hit.
Oh yeah, Mission to Mars and the other.
So to stop that from happening, and this is when studios were under a lot of threat of closure. Disney was on its last legs. It was recycling old animation cells because it couldn't afford to draw new ones. And they got together and said, let's make the movie together. And it was a huge hit. But one of the interesting things about it is on the movie poster, there was a big argy-bargy about whose name
about where the names went. Yeah.
Because they had to have, I believe, and I don't know if this is true, but what I've heard is they had to have the exact same number of this is Steve McQueen and Paul Newman had to have the exact same number of words in the script as each other.
Yeah.
And the way they did the poster was one name was higher but on the right, and the other one was lower but on the left. And that's how they got around the
And
whole.
in the book, in the biography, Steve McQueen said, "Oh, put me on the low or the right. I'm not bothered about that." And Paul Newman thought, "I'm on the left, on the top, yay!" But Steve McQueen had talked to a load of people on how the eyes and the brains works, and he knew that's people. When people look at the poster, that's where your eye would go first. And he did. The other thing he did was after that film made him really successful and well known, and he already was, but he set up an office full of lawyers that if anybody ever clipped his image or used anything he said, they would sue them for it. It was the beginning of image and lookalike, and he set up a whole room full of lawyers to sue anybody who used his image without his permission or quotes and things. And he was one of the first people to do that. And that all came out of that barging over the poster in the Towering Inferno.
Oh wow!
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a good businessman actually. Weirdly, on the side.
But that scene at the end. So there's a fire in a big glass tower in New York.
Yeah, because Richard Chamberlain cheated on the wiring.
Yes, they decided to be cheap with the wiring, didn't they? Yeah. And Steve McQueen plays the head of the firefighters who are in there trying to put this fucking fire out. And there's a scene at the end where, the people are dead and, they've all been evacuated. Yeah. And he sits down with the architect, who's played by Paul Newman, and says, if you keep building these towers, we can only get up to the 8th floor with all of our kit. After that, you're on your own. And one day there'll be a disaster and it won't be a dozen people dead. It will be thousands. And I'm just like... fucking hell. And it was based on the Twin fucking Towers. It was based on the bloody... Because that had just opened in the 70s in New York. Great film. Absolutely great film. And one of those great disaster movies of the 1970s, along with Airport and The Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, I love The Poseidon Adventure.
I liked Beyond The Poseidon Adventure. Was that the one with Terry Savalas in it? Where they break in
and Michael Caine. Michael Caine.
Was that Michael Caine in the second one?
Michael Caine was the guy who goes in with the girl. They go through the hole at the bottom. They cut
a hole to go get the treasure inside.
Yeah. So that was
Beyond the Poseidon Adventure.
On the Poseidon Adventure. Yeah, that's not a widely successful film. It's like all the B films that Michael Caine. He was doing it for Pay's Mortgage, and
There's a famous scene in Poseidon Adventure about one of the older women who had she got the bronze swimming certificate once for a swim meet when she was a kid, and she has to do the swimming.
Shirley Winters.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Shirley Winters.
Great.
She goes, blah, 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 blah. And, the husband's going, where's my wife?
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, obviously, was the preacher.
Yes. In the original. Yeah.
In the original.
That's really
the new one's Kurt Russell in the new one. I mean, that's
the way Gene Hackman died has really, really upset me.
Yeah.
I don't like reading the details about it because it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. It's everyone's worst nightmare is to be alone with the person who's supposed to be looking after you. She died and there was no one there. And he sounds like he's been estranged from his children, which, is sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of it, but
there's been a lot of actors who have come out, and said working with him obviously actors are all lovelies and they're all going to say, but actually most of the stories I've heard have all just been, he was so generous, on line, he would give you the line, he would be kind, he would do a bit of coaching with you. He didn't mind if he messed up. He was it's the other person who's like that is my favorite actor, which is, I know it's like, I really like Roger Moore, right? And I read all his books and I like, this guy lived a full life. Everybody liked him. All the stunt guys liked him, played cards with the stunt guys, always smoked cigars, lived in the south of France, had a great life, knew everybody.
Yeah.
And he did loads of charity stuff and he worked for the UN and he loved doing that. That guy lived the best life ever. I mean, he struggled to get to that point. And there was a BBC Two documentary, which I do recommend you go and watch on iPlayer, about how he got to become famous. And he had 4 wives and all the other stuff. But he had oh my God, that guy lived the life to the max.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
He just had such a great life. And it's like, you bastard.
No, I wish
my life was as good as yours. My life sucks. Why is your life so great? But it was great.
Since Sean Connery's retired from acting and public life, really, after the disaster that was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, good, yeah.
Bloody awful film.
Oh, a terrible film. Yeah, not a good film.
Anyway, he just had a horrific experience making that movie. And he sacked it all off. And one of the bad things that came of that is he didn't want to do any cameos. He didn't want to do anything where he just turned up and waved or whatever. But also, he didn't turn up for the 50th anniversary of James Bond in 2012. And that would have been the last chance for all of the Bond actors who are then still alive to all be together in one shot.
Yeah.
Like the people who played that character.
Yeah. What's your favorite Bond film?
Ooh,
one on the desert island.
Gotta be Spy Love Me, because that intro and that song.
Oh yeah,
just bloody brilliant, just
really
absolutely brilliant. That's the intro with the skiing down the hill, and then he goes off the cliff, and you think, oh shit, Bond's gone off a cliff, and then up comes the parachute, and it's the Union flag.
It took ages to film that
brilliant.
Scene. Yeah,
sorry,
it took them ages to do that scene. 6 weeks they were sitting out there doing that.
Since what was he? He is a commander? Is he in the Navy?
Bond? He was a commander Bond.
Commander Bond. Yeah, so would it be a Union Jack because he's a Navy guy?
It's called the Union Jack when it's
flown on a ship. But he's on a parachute. I think we can call it a Union Jack on a technicality there.
Yeah,
Commander Bond.
Okay. I think
when it's flown from a jack staff on a ship, or when it's on a parachute and it's got Commander Bond.
Yeah,
but what a song, Carly Simon. Nobody does it better. I mean, goosebumps, brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's the best Moore film, definitely.
And I grew up with the Moore films because they were the ones on TV. On ITV, every other Saturday there'll be a Bond film because he did so many. I think he did 7, didn't he?
7 of them, yeah.
Live and Let Die, Man with the Golden Gun, Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker.
Yeah.
For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, View to a Kill.
Correct.
Boom. Fantastic.
Oh, you're a Toro too.
I only watched that yesterday or day before yesterday.
What, View to a Kill?
No, the line where he meets the guy with the moustache in the hangar, he goes, "Oh, you're a Toro too."
Oh yeah,
I just love that. It's just a great line. I just thought throwaway line.
Because Christopher Walken was in View to a Kill, wasn't he? He played.
He was Zoran.
And Moonraker is very. It's a daft one, but
but you can watch it pretending
very timely now.
Yeah, so you watch it pretending Drax is Elon Musk. It's a much more entertaining film, especially when he pushes him out the airlock.
I like the fact that he named all of his bad guys after people he fucking hated. So Auric Goldfinger was named after an actual architect called Goldfinger, who was a twat who built brutalist pieces of shit architecture. Who also built Centrepoint in London, which sat derelict for 30 fucking years.
Horrible.
And it just sat there at the end of Tottenham Court Road looking horrible. And he named Drax after the same Drax family that owned slaves in the Caribbean.
There's an MP.
Richard Drax is now an MP. Well, he was. I don't know if he still is an MP. But if he had someone he didn't like him, he named a villain after them. I love that. That's why all the villains in my stuff are all called
But it is. I mean, Moonraker is really funny to watch because it takes him ages to put that space station up there without anybody knowing. He's got all these shuttles. He says, why did you steal the British shuttle? Why did you need? I had one of my shuttles developed a fault. Well, there can't be any fault you can't fix on a shuttle because you've built them and you've got 7 of them, but you nicked the one off the 7. And there's a light on the 747's dash and cockpit that flashes. Oh my God, somebody's igniting the Moonraker. Why is there a light in the 747 that tells you that? Because nobody would ever do that. But anyway, and then you get to space and they're all on the space station. And then of course the Americans come out and about 8, it's got 12 seats and about 12 of them come out in their one shuttle, but there's fucking hundreds of them on the Moonraker, on the space station, booming away. And there's like 30 or 40 of them come off. Commander, get your men off. It's just about to blow up. But there are only 12 seats.
Yeah.
Shuttle.
I think my favourite Bonds definitely GoldenEye. Absolutely love GoldenEye. That was a real
for England,
comeback.
Alex. For England, James.
No, for me. And then I've got to put Live and Let Die in there because I had Baron Samedi in, which was just brilliant. Freaked me out as a
Going to
kid.
be a lovely day.
Yeah. Voodoo.
Good
James
film.
Bond and Voodoo.
Yeah. He comes over water. He brings destruction. Jane Seymour. Classic.
Goldfinger.
I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
But you only live twice. Fucking awful. That's the one where James Bond becomes Japanese.
Oh, that is a little bit dodgy, isn't it?
Oh my god, what?
But
you can't do that. I was going to
don't
mention.
You think Bond, the early 70s, like, my wife and I always say he's a bit rapey, isn't he now? Because he goes up to the girl and goes, "Oh, I think, well, we got time, haven't we? Oh, let's knock around in bed for half."
Harrison Ford in Blade Runner is one of the rapiest characters in modern history.
Yeah, it pushes them, and the woman goes, "No," and then it's like,
go on then.
Oh, go on then. It's a bit of its time. It's like, oh, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Roger,
which is why I think if they start making new Bond movies, they should set them in the 50s and 60s. And have that misogyny in there and leave it
the madman look.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And have people go, "Oh my god, is that what people used to be like?"
Yeah. Well, they all smoke.
Everyone will smoke. Everyone will smoke all the time.
Yeah, that was the funny thing about Madman. Everybody was smoking all the time.
But also have it so it's more, like people were back then, or even closer to the books, where he's an alcoholic. He's a miserable in the book. He's a miserable fuck.
Yeah,
but yeah, someone mentioned Sean Connery was great in The Man Who Would Be King and The Untouchables. I mean, The Man Who Would Be King is a fantastic movie. I think it was one of John Huston's last films.
Yeah, I love the bit when they sing the song is it on the bridge? They sing the song and
when he's gonna die and
that's a good film.
So this is two British officers who go to Afghanistan, right? And they think that Sean Connery is a god.
Yes, right.
And he marries his Roxanne.
That's because the arrow goes in and it doesn't really hurt him because it's got something in his...
And then he bleeds and they find out. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
He's not a god.
But it's a fantastic film. Michael Caine and Sean Connery. Michael Caine was in the series, the Harry Palmer films, like the Chris File, $1 Billion Brain.
I will miss your humour,
Funeral in Berlin. They were fantastic. He was like the anti-Bond, wasn't he? He was...
But
more like George Smiley, more like... Did you watch...
Yeah. He did the Fourth Protocol of his later
Rosie Donkeys. What's it called? Slow Horses. Did you watch Slow Horses?
Oh, there's just the two things. I mean, one, he went on to resurrect the part in the Fourth Protocol, which Pierce Brosnan is in, playing the Russian spy who's going to blow up an airbase, and Caine resurrects all those old Harry Palmer roles. It's sort of late 80s, but the 60s ones, Funeral in Berlin and Icarus File, are all brilliant.
I thought Fourth Protocol was Frederick Forsyth.
But he's playing, well, he may not be Harry Palmer, but he's playing a kind of somebody just coming out of the service and semi-retired.
He did two movies, I think in the 90s. There was one called, I'm going to have to remember this now, Midnight in St. Petersburg. And then there was another one, and it was Harry Palmer. He was playing the same character from the original.
Because Sean Connery did The Russian House, which was another spy.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So,
Alan says Sean Connery trying to do accents is hilarious. He doesn't try. He doesn't even try.
Yes, your fathers played it well, and we shall compile mission drill while they listen to their rock and roll. Welcome to the Red October. Yes.
One Angry Pain's Highlander is my favourite film. It has swords, magic, and best of all, the soundtrack is entirely Queen.
Oh yeah, it's a good film. It's a good soundtrack.
That and Flash Gordon.
Gordon's alive.
Gordon's alive. The size of Brian Blessed's mouth is just insane, isn't it? He's just the biggest mouth in showbiz. How he does it? I don't know.
Yeah, he's big on archery. He's like the head of the British Archery thing or something. He's a big, strong guy. Yeah. Loud.
Joanna says he's not a god thing was totally stolen by the Matrix when he's fighting in the second film. One drop of blood, see only human. Simon Smith said they weren't officers, they were sergeant, 3 stripes to the jackets. Man Who Would Be King. Yes, you're right. They were NCOs, I guess.
Yeah.
Non-commissioned. Well, no, they wouldn't have been officers. Hunt for Red October. And Acro Dave is asking how old was Marion when Indy shagged her, because she said I was just a child, and he said she knew what you were getting into. And in the original script, she is very young.
Oh, awkward.
And it's supposed to be 10 years later.
Yeah. But as we said, the plot hole is if
Mammy
he'd
and
done
Nathan
nothing,
would.
the Nazis would have lost anyway. Hooray!
If they hadn't done anything, they would have taken the Ark to Berlin
opened
and
it
opened it in
in front
front
of
of Hitler. Well done, Indy, you dickhead. Millions of people are dead now because of you. Just stay at home.
dog.
You and they,
Oh,
that was
dear.
a blog. Brian Blessed and Tom Baker are Britain's best swearers. I would
They
put
are.
Super Tansky up there as well.
Ramona.
Anyway, right, that's it. I think we've got things to do, places to be.
We
I'm
have got
sure.
things to do, but it's been fun. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
thanks for coming on for a chat about
You're all
nothing.
right. No, it's good.
About bollocks that we're
It
watching.
was down the rabbit hole.
Yes,
It was-
yes.
was
It's the last
bollocks and down the
episode
rabbit-
of Severance on Friday, so I might have a chat about Severance next week.
Oh, okay. I have to start watching that, aren't I?
Theories,
Well, we're just about to
theories.
last episode of The Expanse tonight, which we
Okay,
didn't
we'll
talk
finish
about
The
tonight.
Expanse and then
We'll
Severance.
start Severance, but you need to start Falling Skies, mate, because when you watch Falling Skies, you're going to come back. Rachel, I want all your children, even though I can't have all your children. But I love Falling Skies. It's the best sci-fi. It's dark and it's brilliant.
Okay, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, thanks very much for watching. I'll be back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thanks for all the chat and everything, all the bants. The bants in the chat is always good. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.